Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Silver Years. My name is DK, and I'm very happy to be here. And I humbly thank you for joining me. Today is a new segment of My Story Time. And for those who don't know, My Story Time is where I tell my story, unscripted and unedited, usually, as a way to counter the ever changing official narrative of history, his story. Because no one, not even AI, can tell my life story as a direct reflection of the times in which I lived better than me. And this is where I'm telling it. Okay, so the story that wants to be told today is coming in from 1983 and begins in Littleton, Colorado, where I was living with my family and I was pregnant with my second daughter. This story is somewhat of a continuation from my previous video that was titled Mom Creck and the Family Photo, which took place at Christmas time in 1982. Because at that time, during that photo session, one of my four sisters, sister number four to be exact, was living with me. And we were both pregnant at the same time, but didn't yet know it until after that family photo was taken. I'll put a link to that if you're interested. So it's sort of a precursor to this. And 1983 was definitely a busy year. It was a huge year of change, and I discussed that again, 1983. So Mom Creck and the family photo was sort of the precursor, and then um, I discussed the rest of 1983 in another video that I titled 1983, A Year of Change. And that kind of covered some of what happened after the delivery. But um, I'll put a link to that too. And what I didn't talk about in that video was that sister number four, because I have four sisters, sister number four had separated from her husband at the time, which, by the way, was a good thing. And she and her 2-year-old daughter, my little niece, were staying with me and my family while she worked at her job at Hugh M. Woods, which Hugh M. Woods was a company that was like a precursor to Home Depot. Actually, it was a really cool store. I don't think Hugh M. Woods exists anymore. Anyhow, as our double pregnancies moved into the springtime of 1983, one night I had a dream, and I dreamt that sister number four had her baby before me and that her baby was a boy. Okay, dream seems innocent enough, but it disturbed me nonetheless because my pregnant sister barely looked pregnant when compared to me. I felt like a whale next to her as she was still wearing her normal clothes at 7 months pregnant, with maybe some minor adjustments like an unfastened button or a loosened zipper. After my dream, I told my sister about it and how I'd be pretty upset if she had that baby before me. And since this was 1983, ultrasounds were not the norm like they are now. Everyone gets an ultrasound now, but not then. So the majority of women never knew what gender their babies were going to be until delivery. It was always a surprise, and we always had to plan in advance for either possibility. This made it hard to commit to blue or pink at baby showers. So yellow became a popular color, more neutral at the time for baby gifts. Since my second pregnancy was so completely different from my first, actually, my second pregnancy was pretty textbook. My first one was not. I felt throughout the pregnancy that I was probably carrying a boy because my first child was a daughter. And since this pregnancy was so different, I thought, oh, it's probably a boy. Um, if and that was seemed to be pretty standard in the thinking of the time. So that was just kind of what I thought most of the time when I was pregnant. I thought I picked both names, but I thought it was highly probable I was going to have a boy. But again, I was never going to know until delivery. So one night, in the middle of the night, I began having minor contractions. Not too intense, but it was enough to wake me up and keep me from falling back to sleep. And so there was no hurry either at the time. I got up out of bed and I used the bathroom and whatever else, and then I laid back down. So as I was laying in bed, I could hear my sister up and about doing the same thing. She was up, used the bathroom, and was kind of faunching around. And then at about 7 that morning, everybody got up. Well, she and I got up, and I saw her in the bathroom getting ready to go to work. And so that's when I told her I was in labor. And then she said to me that she was too. And I was just stunned. What? Then why are you getting ready for work? What's wrong with you? Well, she didn't want to tell me. She was afraid to tell me that she was in labor because she didn't want me to get mad at her because of the dream. I went into the bedroom and told my husband at the time that I was in labor. And he was in no hurry. He just kind of grumbled and turned over and was going to continue to sleep. Was no hurry to get out of bed. So then I said to him, well, sister number 4 is in labor too. Oh my God. His eyes flew open. Oh, and he jumped out of bed like a bullet and began panicking. Thing was, we were both delivering at different hospitals and he couldn't do both. So we called my other sister who lived around the corner. That was sister number 2. And she needed to come and take sister number 4 to Denver. And it was hilarious because all of it, it was probably 20 minutes later and you could hear her tires peeling around the corner. Oh my God, it was so funny. You could hear it all the way down forever. Her tire, every corner she turned, she was going 1,000 miles an hour. Um, anyway, she needed to take sister number 4 to Denver while my husband took me to Inglewood. And then, of course, I had to call my mother in California to tell her that we were both in labor, deliveries imminent, double deliveries imminent. My mother immediately left work and got on a flight, believe it or not. And she was only going to be in Denver for 2 days. It was like a quick in and out, which she thought 2 days would be enough time to be there for both deliveries. Turns out she barely made it, barely stayed long enough because my doctor sent me home to walk it out. I wasn't far enough along in my progression to deliver. And according to him, I had plenty of time. So my husband and I left that hospital and went to my sister in the other hospital. Sister number 4 delivered her baby that day. In fact, that afternoon, she delivered her baby. It was a boy, and he was not premature, let me just add. He was full term, ready to go, just like I dreamed. And I was there to observe the entire experience. Even though I felt throughout my pregnancy, like I said, that I was carrying a boy, I knew the minute I went into labor that she was going to be a girl. And a day and a half later, in the middle of the night, my second daughter was born. But not before my mother kept reminding me that I needed to have that baby before she had to get on a plane in a few hours, as if I could speed it up. I'd been in labor for 48 hours and I was pretty exhausted. Well, after it was all done, my mother scooped up sister number 4 and her new baby from their hospital in Denver and brought them to visit me and my new baby girl at the hospital that I was in Inglewood. Something you could never do today. Before taking them both, actually, my mother took them both, along with my young niece, on the plane back with her to California, where they then stayed for good. So 1983's year of change started out with a double delivery. and my daughter and her cousin, my nephew, had birthdays that are 2 days apart. And my dream proved to be correct in spite of myself and a little bit of irritation. I got over it real quick. Believe me, I got over it. So, in conclusion, and for whatever it's worth, this is my little protest against his story. This is me telling my story my way for the record. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I would love to hear your stories as well, so please feel free to share your stories in the comments. Until next time, be well, choose love, and thank you. Thank you for listening. Goodbye for now.